All right, so welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Marcus Bailey. My goal is to help as many people as possible not only take control of their health and wellness, but also give you tips and information to help make that health journey more enjoyable and easier to stick to long term. I have here today with me Lynn Weaver, and one of the great things about health journeys is that no one's is unique. Everyone's is different. I say often, I have a story, but I don't have the best story. I have a path, but my path may not inspire you, may not be something that you can connect with. And I like to look to people who I'm inspired by, who do things that I look to that keep me going. And Lynn is one of those people who I've known for a while, but I've seen over the, I guess, more recent times, really post some things that had me thinking, that pushed me, that, I'll have her share with you her story. But it really is transparent. She said some things just on her own personal Facebook that, is vulnerable, that's honest, that really anyone who's going to tell you the truth about what it takes to do better and be better for yourself has gone through. So with that, I am going to go into some questions. And before we do anything, Lynn, let me just have you, introduce yourself. And the first question I'd like you to maybe get into is tell us a little bit about what inspired you to start really getting serious about health, fitness, wellness for yourself.
Okay. So again, my name is Lynn Weaver. And first of all, let me say this. I'm a very honest person because I believe my journey has started since I was little. I grew up in the kind of household where my mother took me out to eat fast food probably 5 out of the 7 days of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So what is in fast food? Sugar.
Yeah.
Even you think it's not, like going to Taco Bell, you're not eating anything sweet per se, but there's still sugar in all that processed food.
Right.
So what happens in time is your palate gets used to that taste.
Right.
And at some point you could get addicted to it.
Right.
That is my story. I am a sugar addict.
Okay.
And it started when I was younger.
Okay.
And what happened over the years though was my metabolism was decent enough where I could just, eat whatever I wanted. And if I wasn't exercising, I would put the weight on. But if I wanted to lose the weight, I'll work out, still eat whatever I wanted, and it would come off.
Okay.
Now that I've turned 40, I struggled big time trying to lose weight. I would work out vigorously and I would try thinking I was eating healthy, like doing keto and paleo and all those like fad diets.
Yeah.
I would lose a little weight.
Yeah.
But then the weight would come back on because why? I'm addicted to sugar.
Okay.
So it was March of this year when the pandemic happened.
Okay.
I was sitting at home because I wasn't working. I was furloughed. I was in Dallas at the time.
Okay.
And I just saw myself over and over and over again ordering Grubhub and DoorDash, cookies and fast food and I would go out and order get donuts and I would just shove them in my mouth.
Yeah.
Shoving them in my mouth. And I felt like I just couldn't get enough.
Okay.
And I was noticing that I was really becoming even more addicted because if I wasn't getting it on a certain time, on certain days, at a certain time of the day, between 2 and 4 p.m. was my time pretty much, I would get a headache and I would get really irritable and agitated.
Wow.
And if I didn't get that piece of sugar, then I would go after work. Dairy Queen was my spot. I would go to Dairy Queen and get my large, I think it was called like a bazaar. I think it's what it's called. I would just down that.
Okay.
I would also be like a hoarder. Like at work, if they brought donuts into work or cookies, I would shove them in my pocket.
Wow.
So nobody could see me and go in the bathroom and hoard them.
Wow.
And this is how I knew I was a sugar addict.
Okay.
Even before the pandemic happened.
Okay.
But again, when I was younger, I could just burn off that weight.
Right.
But it was catching up with me because my metabolism was getting slower.
Wow.
So that's how I knew I was addicted because I was getting headaches. I was irritable. And one day, be honest, I was in my birthday suit and I looked at myself and I said, Lynn, this is not your body. This is not you. You're not happy. The sugar is making you it gives you that quick fix. But then once that fix ends, you feel like crap. But you need it again. It's like a drug.
Right.
So I finally decided to get some professional help because, again, I've been struggling with this since I was like maybe 13 years old.
Okay.
But I was masking and band-aiding it by
Okay.
working out.
Okay. Wow. Well, first of all, that was completely honest, which I appreciate. And to be, candid, I'm sure that most everyone, myself included, watching or that has gone down or has experienced that. And it's funny that you say just like a drug, because one of the things that we hear people say that are on what we consider to be real drugs is, and we see it in movies, oh, I can kick, I can get rid of it anytime I want, it doesn't control me, I control it. And we really don't realize until we take an honest look at ourselves, which I appreciate you saying that you did, to get you started. So let me dig into what you said about seeking professional help. What was the first step that you took? Who did you call, and what did you share with them to get started in both nutrition and just really kicking your fitness up?
So again, I was sitting at home, bored, stuffing my face with cookies.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on Facebook and I saw this lady come across and she says, "Are you a sugar addict?" And again, I already knew that I was, but I didn't know how to go about getting help. And she says, "If you are, I would love to talk with you." And what caught my eye is that the fact that, you can buy in these things called like Noom and Weight Watchers, but you're really not getting that personalized psychological help.
Right.
It's pretty much the same program for everybody.
Right.
But I was a little bit different because one, I had an addiction. So she actually called me. We talked on the phone for 2 hours. She actually asked me detailed questions. And she even said to me after the interview, she said, "Lynn, if you were not a right candidate for this program, I mean, that if I knew that you really weren't going to give it your all, then we would have hung up. But I could tell you really wanted it.
Yeah.
And that I was going to help you with this program." Now, the program was very costly, but this is the one thing I believe. You only have one temple, one body.
Yes. And
there's not any limit on how much you should spend to make sure that you're the healthiest person mentally and physically possible. Yes. So I was willing to spend that pretty penny on it. I really was.
Okay.
I was at that point.
Which again, I think there's a great lesson buried right there. I mean, what's obvious, but it's also buried, is for all the things that we invest in, for all the things that we're willing to splurge on and treat ourselves with, what better investment than to be able to invest back into ourselves? Mm-hmm. So that is fantastic. I mean, it sounds simple, but we look at, we'll see things on Facebook. There's memes going around where it'll say, it'll have some negative image and it'll say, "This is some part of your body watching you buy these new Jordans." Mm-hmm. Or, "This is your old piece of equipment at your home looking at you buy the new PS5. Essentially saying there are other things that are higher priorities than what you're spending on, but you choose, and we make those choices. So that is fantastic. And again, good that you made that investment. So getting started. So going back to the beginning, what were some of the initial things that you thought would be easy, and what did you think would be hard?
Well, I know I was going to have these cravings.
Okay.
And the coach that I had, she's considered a sugar coach. She said, get rid of the triggers in your house. Even, for instance, we might not even think, for instance, let me think. We think a cupcake is a trigger for sure. Right. But a piece of white bread could be a trigger because it has sugar in it. Right. Things that we wouldn't think would be triggers. A banana could be a trigger. So she wanted me, of course I had to go through, their little training, and she told me what to pretty much get rid of. Yeah. And she told me, you need to plan everything out. Yes. Always make sure you have something in the house that you can grab really quick. And now that you know that, your trigger time between 2 and 4 p.m. and also 8 p.m. at night. Yeah. Make sure you have something already ready for you to eat. Yeah. At that particular time. You need to make sure you're meal prepping. You need to make sure that, like say, maybe you don't want to go out and buy the groceries. If you don't feel like doing that task, that's what you hate doing, have the groceries ordered to your house. If you don't like cutting up the vegetables on a particular, every day of the week, cut up your vegetables all on Monday. Right. Put them in plastic bags. Make it as easy as you possibly can so that when it is time you want that sugar, you have something already ready to go. Right. Try to keep busy, drink a lot of water. Yeah. She even said as far as scraping your tongue. Scraping your tongue, because, you know, we hold a lot of bacteria on our tongue.
Right.
And it's scraping it can get rid of that taste you may have for wanting the sugar, which is going to link to the brain.
Wow.
Little simple things like that she would tell me.
Wow.
So.
Wow. That's fantastic. And did you find it inconvenient at first? And then tell me if you still find it inconvenient to do those meal prep and ordering and getting yourself all ready for the week. Okay.
It is. I don't like doing it. I don't like doing it at all. But I found ways, and she also said this, it's like, try to find 4 recipes, Lynn. Just 4 recipes that you really like, and just keep repeating them.
Yeah.
Keep repeating them. Because she was trying to get me to understand that we're eating not so much for enjoy. I mean, we want to enjoy our food,
right,
but we were really just doing it to fuel our body. Don't put so much emphasis on enjoying and making that the highlight of your day is eating a meal.
That's right.
You find other things in life that can be your enjoyment.
That's right.
Take an art class, you know, do wheel throwing on the pottery. That's what I'm learning to do, wheel throwing on pottery and taking an art class now. But find other things besides food. Don't let food be so much of an enjoyment for you that, you know, it's the center of your life. And that's what it was. Sugar was the center of my life at one point. That's all I can think about is what is my next fix going to be? Where am I going to get it from?
Yeah.
So I would say that.
Okay. Which is good. You know, certainly the eat to live versus live to eat model, which, you know, easier said than done. And you certainly, and hopefully everyone else who's watching can be honest and transparent with themselves, and whoever they may be getting advice from will be honest with them, that it's easier said than done.
Oh, definitely.
To make that switch.
Definitely.
And that's one of the things that I've always appreciated, and certainly more recently appreciated in what you've put out there is, hey, I'm telling you what it is, like it or not. And people may not gravitate towards it because it's not easy, but it's simple. Hey, it's a few simple things. It's not easy, but it works.
I've also found that I like to do a lot of stuff in the crock pot in bulk, like soup, casseroles, things like that I can actually make a big bulk of it and then freeze some of it so that it lasts a little longer that way. Yeah. That has really helped me a lot. Crock pot is, and also I have an air fryer. Okay. Because I really don't like to do the whole, you know, add wine here and, you know, simple as possible. Simple recipes. Right. Right. That, you know, is giving you what your body needs so that you can fuel. Fresh. She also told me that try to buy as much organic stuff as possible. Okay. So I'm a big Trader Joe's person now. I always go to Trader Joe's. I don't really like those big old huge grocery stores. Yeah. It's just too much. Yeah. I like to go to little small intimate stores. Now they're more expensive, but I'm getting everything I need. I can be in and out of the grocery store because I don't like grocery shopping either. I can be in and out of the grocery store if I make a list up within 20 minutes at Trader Joe's. Okay. Good stuff. Now, let me take a moment because I want to make sure that this is said multiple times throughout this, and I want you to get 100% credit for it. And I shared with you that there was something that you said, and I saw it one time, and I've never forgotten it since then. And then I saw you post it many times, but this first time I saw it, I mean, I was like, oh, why? I mean, I could never have thought of something to just encapsulate this, everything that we're talking about in one sentence. So can you share, if you would, the phrase that you made up and kind of, I don't know if it's your motto or your mantra. I mean, I've certainly adopted it as mine, you know, so I appreciate that. But if you wouldn't mind sharing that, because I think that really guides the entire conversation. Yeah. So nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. That is my motto that I try to live by. Because when you eat right, when you put good things into your temple, it just mentally you feel great. You have energy to do what you need to do. You're focused. I mean, I really believe if you eat really well, if you eat right, you can cure a lot of your diseases and ailments. I mean, you don't need to take any medicine. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I can't even say that's everything. That statement is everything. I'm going to have you say that a couple more times as we go through. So let's talk about the workout piece, because I know that in addition to the diet piece and the food, you also, you know, had gotten back into doing some workouts.
Did you do different workouts than you were doing before, or was it about the same type of a routine?
So a long time ago, many years ago, I was really a big aerobics junkie.
Okay.
In my early 20s, I was actually an aerobics instructor. I
Okay.
taught kickboxing, step, and weightlifting classes. I got certified to teach those things. So I already had a really pretty good background of how to work out. But as I've gotten older and life happens, you have to work like an 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. You don't really have that much energy to do that anymore. I needed some motivation.
Right.
So I actually hired me a personal trainer. I actually have known her for a while. She was a personal trainer years ago. And when I moved back to Dayton, I called her up again. I said, look, I'm really ready to go in full with you this time.
Okay.
So actually, I wouldn't say I cheated, but I needed some enthusiasm. I needed some motivation.
Yeah.
And that's what she does for me. So she pretty much shows me exactly. I feel like I'm working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Because she knows exactly how much weight to put on there. Because sometimes when we go to the gym ourselves, we don't know how much weight do I put on today? Right. How much weight did I use last time? Do I need to increase today? Am I working hard enough? Am I feeling that burn? The personal trainer, to me, she knows my body, and she's always going to push me past my limit so that I can, start to see some results. Because I believe 90% of what you eat is going to help you to lose weight, but to make yourself tone and not as flabby, you have to do cardio. You have to do some weight training.
Correct.
You will lose weight if you eat well. You will.
Yeah.
But as you get older, things are just not as tight anymore.
Right. Yeah. And our bodies are really made to work. I mean, that's what they're intended to do. Muscles are there to lift. Bones are there to hold us up. Tendons are there to pull, push, and all those kinds of things. So I did really what our bodies are intended to do.
I got a personal trainer.
Okay. And that's not a cheat.
Well, she has to motivate me. And do I give her lip sometimes? Yes, but she pushes me. I need to be pushed.
No, and that really is, that's the magic, I think, of that, people watching, I think, will connect with. Because one of the things that you see when you look out, you Google, you YouTube, or you're looking at videos, it's, hey, get up and do it. Stop being this, stop being that, just no excuses. And it's all about, hey, you get up and you pull yourself up by the bootstraps and you walk out the door at 6 a.m. and go work out by yourself. And it sounds like, oh, okay, well, if I don't do it, then something must be wrong with me. Mm-hmm. The truth is that is not always the case. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were days over time I've gotten to the point where I work out by myself, but I would prefer to have someone to work out with. And when I got started, that was my motivation, is knowing the fact that someone was waiting on me at the gym that I couldn't make an excuse to say no to.
And I want to be to where you're at, Marcus. I want to actually be able to, again, we'd always want to go. But when we do show up, when we make it there, we know exactly what to do. We know how to do it, and we know how to push ourselves. I'm just not there yet.
Yeah. And that's fair. And we're all, we've talked about this, and I've said it on, other videos, but the only difference between me and you is a little bit of time, and that's it. Over time, you'll certainly get to that point. So were there any things that were easier than you thought? So once you really got into it, is there anything that you thought would have been hard, but end up turning out to be pretty easy?
Okay. So I'll be a little bit more personal in my personal life at this point. I am dating someone, and I said it on one of my videos before. I really believe when you have a circle of people around you that motivates you, and they're already eating well, and they're not tempting you with all that bad stuff, it makes it a lot easier. So if your environment is a clean environment, we don't have like a lot of stress going on, and you choose people in your circle that are positive, it makes it easier. Because I think if I had somebody in my life that was negative and didn't eat well, I probably would have put the weight back on. So that's what's easy for me, is that I have people in my life, like I said, my personal trainer and the person I'm seeing right now. They're just really, really good health buffs. And I don't know, it just makes it a lot easier this time, because I've dated people in my life that weren't that healthy. And I kind of went into what they were doing.
Right.
But if somebody saying, nope, we're not eating that today. Nope. Don't even buy that. Nope. Don't put it in the house. If it's not there to eat, you're not going to eat it.
Yeah. And that makes it, and as complicated as we try to make health, wellness, fitness, and all these kinds of things, what you just said really makes it sound just like almost anything else, using the drug example, or alcohol. If I'm a recovering alcoholic and I'm dating someone who does not drink alcohol versus dating someone who is going in on the beer, wine, and liquor every night and just saying, well, hey, this is for me, not you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes it easier for me to stay on the path that I've chosen. So that's fantastic.
Exactly.
You may say, hey, I can't wait to get there. The truth is I will look at the videos that you post, and it takes any excuses that I try to even still make for myself away. And you had a video somewhat recently, I want to say maybe a couple of weeks ago. And what made me even stop is the face that you were making when I scrolled through was like, uh-oh, she is upset about something. What is she talking about? Can you share a little bit about what that video was about, why you decided to post it, how you felt before, how you felt after?
Whenever you're dealing with any kind of personal trainer, they're going to pretty much put you on a certain routine for so long, and then they're going to twist it up, because that's how you see change. Right. If you do the same thing the whole time, you're going to plateau. Right. So at this point, I worked out with her long enough, and I was not going to lie to you, I was getting a little comfortable. I was like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, well, Lynn, I can see you progressing. We're going to bring it up a notch. So we started incorporating cardio in with weight training. So like we would be on the treadmill for like 5 minutes at a certain speed, get off, do weight training, get back on the treadmill for 5 minutes, get off the treadmill, weight train. We kept going back and forth.
Okay.
And I just wasn't, first of all, she surprised me with it. I wasn't even really mentally ready for it. And I didn't think I had the best day at work or something like that. And sometimes your days at work, if you're having a bad day at work, you don't want to go to the gym. You just want to go home.
Right.
So I think I was already having a bad day at work. And she springs this on me. I'm like, dang, I don't feel like doing this. I just feel like just doing my little regular work I'm used to doing. My plateau and workout at that point and go home. She kicked my butt. But when I left out of there, I felt like I really accomplished something, because like, dang, I actually was able to run this treadmill the whole time.
Right.
I didn't feel out of pressure. And she was like, dang, Lynn, you are doing really good. Like, of course she pumps you up. She's supposed to, but I knew she wasn't lying. So I was actually able to finish the workout. Yeah. So that's what it was. It was about the fact that she took me out of my plateau.
Well, good. And I think that's, and as you said it that day, and again, it was in the moment. So I kind of sprung that on you, and I know it was an in the moment video, not a rehearsed thing, but the emotion in the moment was exactly that. What you said, it was out of your comfort zone. And in the time that you were being asked to do these things, you were like, what the heck is going on? I don't feel like this. I've already had some, my day's not been great. But you did it anyway.
And I felt so good after that. And ever since then, we've been doing that.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, I got this. And I actually like it now, because I don't feel like we're doing the same. So you can get a little bored with your workout too, but we're changing that. We're running, then we're working, then we're weight training, then we're running it. So it's like we're breaking up the workout. Right. We're changing, and it makes the time go by faster, because nobody wants to just keep looking at the clock saying when we're going to be done, when we're going to be done. You want to be able to actually someone enjoy your workout. So when you change it up like that, I feel like I'm not as, I guess, air quotes, bored. Yeah.
Which, is another great tip for people to latch on to is, if you can get comfortable being uncomfortable.
I like that. That's a good t-shirt.
Look, I'm not taking anything away from your quote here. So getting comfortable being uncomfortable is another one of those, we've talked about being honest with yourself. B, looking outside of yourself for help. C, you've talked about surrounding yourself in an environment that's supportive.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. So you have to. This question, because everyone may not find themselves in a situation where there are people around them that are not supportive or are not doing the right things or creating a situation where they feel comfortable making the right choice for themselves. Do you have any advice for someone who might be in an environment where it is tough, or the temptations might be there, or the triggers might be present all the time?
You just kind of said it. Find out, what are your triggers? Like, why are you wanting this particular food?
Yeah.
Because again, it starts with your nutrition.
Right.
Because once you start feeling good with your nutrition, you're going to have energy to work out. You
Right.
might not want to do it, but you're mentally going to be more focused to do it. So I always say, figure out why do I want this piece of cake right now?
Yeah.
And if I want the piece of cake, can I just take one bite and be happy, or do I need to indulge in the whole thing?
Right.
Figure out what's making you do it. Are you depressed mentally? Are you were you raised this way? Find out the source of why you're wanting what you're wanting and why you're doing what you're doing, and tackle that first. Find people that at that point can maybe help you with that.
Yeah.
That's what I had to do. I was like, why am I eating this way?
Yeah.
And I found out that it came from my childhood, for one, and I was addicted to the way it tasted. But then also, I just was around the wrong people that just kept saying, hey, let's eat this piece of carrot cake together.
Right. Right.
And I had to remove myself from that environment.
Which is another jewel that, you know, sometimes you've got to do what may appear to be bad for other people to do what's best for you. And, you know, that really is what, I mean, that's what we tell other people to do. You know, if a friend came to us and said, what do I do? We typically would advise them to get up and get out or get away.
Yeah. If
So
you're being abused by your significant other,
yeah,
you need to leave them.
Yeah. Yep. So great advice to take for ourselves. I want to take another minute to go back to your phrase and your saying. I mean, how did that pop into your mind? Was it like as you were putting something down or pushing something away? I mean, how did you come up with it? If you could say it again first, and then just
okay.
How did you come up with that?
I can't take all credit for this. Now I have a coworker that I work with. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say her name, but if she sees a video, she'll know who she is.
Okay. God bless her.
Oh, it's a little bit of a funny story. Okay. So she is losing weight herself.
Okay.
She's losing a lot of weight.
Oh, good.
And her motivation, she wants to get some plastic surgery.
Okay.
Okay. And once she reaches her goal, she's going to get a certain enhancement to make herself a little bit more bustier in the front, if you shall say.
Okay.
And so she says to me, nothing, I think she says, nothing feels as good as getting, she said, her new boobs. Something like that, she said. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But nothing feels as good as getting new boobs. So pretty much she's saying, if I keep eating right and reach my goal, I can then reward myself with getting this plastic surgery. So I said to her right there, it's like, nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. So the first part of what she was saying is pretty much what I'm saying, but I just switched it on the end because at that particular moment in my life, I was going more for what I was eating. Right. And how it was making me feel. She's doing it for a plastic surgery reason. Right. So that's kind of where I got it from.
And that's
so
okay.
It's mine, but it's not mine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I tell you what, you guys can take both credit for it. So when you see her next time, tell her I said thank you.
I will tell her.
Because I'm telling you, I mean, I wouldn't. You said you posted it. I mean, and it just stuck right in my brain. It says everything. And I think even her story is a good lesson in the fact that whatever you need to put in front of you to pull you towards that goal, do it. Put, either pain that you want to avoid or something like that. But if it's going to pull you there, then do it. Now, obviously, I would say once she gets there, she's going to need to put something else out in front of her to keep her or but that's okay. I want her to get where she's at, and that's good for her that she's losing that weight and getting herself together, because anything can be a motivation for anybody. So I like the fact that everyone doesn't have to be pushed by the same thing. Not everyone has had a family member die of this or experience that. So we can all be motivated by something different.
I want to add one more thing that you may not ask. If people might be wondering, well, are you ever eating sugar again, Lynn? I mean, you have to eat sugar again. I mean, it's everywhere. Yeah, I'm still eating sugar. Yeah. But this is the difference this time. Again, I'm surrounding my people with positive people in my life that are not really tempting me with it, for one, because I'm still an addict. I'm always going to be an addict. Yeah. Question is can I control those cravings or triggers enough to where I can just want one bite and be good with it? So my palate has actually changed at this point. And I've kind of figured some things out, per se. If I'm going to eat ice cream, I know that I'm not going to eat a very heavy breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to probably not have any carbs in the morning.
Okay.
I'm going to eat my sugar more in the daytime, not at night where it sits on my stomach.
Right.
And I'm going to have a very healthy, light dinner.
Okay.
So I'm not really counting calories per se, but I'm kind of knowing what I'm putting in my body and say, okay, Lynn, don't deprive yourself. If you want that, piece of ice cream, eat it. Now, don't eat it every day. You're going to have to say no sometimes, but don't deprive yourself forever. And it's working for me because now when I eat that ice cream or I have that cookie, I don't want to eat the whole thing like I used to.
Right.
I can just eat a few bites of it and I'm content. And there still might be some days where maybe I'm hormonal. We're women, we're hormonal. We sometimes want more sweets than other days.
Right.
I'm going to indulge in 2 candy bars.
Yes.
Now, I will tell you one thing. I feel like crap once I eat it, though.
Yeah.
I definitely feel different eating 2 candy bars now than when I did back then.
Okay.
Definitely feel different. And do those cravings still come back? Yes, because I'm an addict.
Yeah.
But I'm learning, and I have learned. Again, I'm surrounding myself with positive people. That's the number one thing I can say for me.
Yes.
I'm not in an environment anymore where I'm having all that around me. I don't even have it in my house.
Okay.
So I guess I just want to add that on that, I'm still an addict and I still eat sugar. But I'm not letting it consume me like it used to.
Right. Right. And I think that's part of what I am inspired by when I see you, in that being able to be honest and say, no one's perfect. I give myself permission to do this and do that. Therefore, but I know how to compensate. I know when I've done it, and I know when afterwards I can, hey, all right, well, I feel bad. So for tomorrow, here's what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. So your next bite, your next day, your next meal, the next activity you do could be back on the path that you've chosen, which is fantastic. Just a couple more questions. How do you feel, or how would you describe maybe a now versus an after? You've given a few indications of a few things, but what would you say to your 8-month ago self? If you were to write on a piece of paper, here are the things that you will be feeling, and here's how you're going to feel. Here's how you're going to look. Here's how you're going to approach your health, your fitness, your wellness 8 months from now that you probably may not even believe 8 months ago. What would some of those things be?
I was very skeptical first about starting this program with my coach at the time. I was very skeptical, skeptical, because at first I didn't lose any weight. And I know people know when you alter your diet, you're not going to see results immediately. It's going to take a little while for your body to be like, wait a minute, hey, where's the sugar at?
Right.
Let me get used to this first. So you got to be patient. So I was very skeptical that it wasn't even going to work, because I tried so many times before to try to lose weight, and it wasn't working once I turned 40. It wasn't working at all. And I'm now 41, and I finally started losing the weight. So even I started the program, it took me a long time to start losing weight. Mm-hmm. What I changed and worked for me, again, I wasn't eating any sugar, but I cut out pretty much all the bread. I cut out all that bread. And once I started cutting the bread, and I had to do it for a while, though. It just didn't happen within a week. Right. When I cut out all that bread, I just started just melting off. And then, of course, I incorporated in the working out. So I guess what I would say is it's more of the carb consumption for me. I still do indulge and eat bread from time to time. Yeah. But again, I don't eat it like I used to. I don't really crave it. I can actually go a meal or two and not have any bread at all. Okay. And I'm okay with that. Because at first I felt so hungry all the time. Like, so I wasn't getting all that bread, and it would drive me crazy. Like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. And my hunger would be confused for I'll need sugar. Okay. Because most carbs have sugar in them. Right. Well, yeah. I mean, carbohydrates are either simple or complex sugars, or carbohydrates are simple or complex based off of how easy it is for your body to break that down into a sugar. That's all. A carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. That's all it is. A sugar, either simple or complex. The first 30 days of that program I was on, I couldn't have any bread at all. Okay. No bread at all. And that was very challenging for me. But then, and I still didn't really see any weight loss. Believe it or not, I was like, why am I not losing weight, coach? It's like, Lynn, you have to be patient. That's what I have to tell people. You have to be patient with yourself. Yes. You have good days, you have bad days. But if you keep consistent with it, consistency, you will see results. You have to be consistent and determined. Come on now. Yep. That's great. So you've talked about
skepticism. So you will tell your old self, it does work, which is great because a lot of people, will go into those first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks and say, well, I'm not seeing it. I told you
Right.
it didn't work. So you were patient with yourself. It sounds like energy wise, all those different kinds of things you've gotten physical benefits from. You've also talked about now being comfortable, being uncomfortable. So the things on the workout side that you thought, nah, I'm good here in this area, you actually now prefer to do things that are more challenging.
I can actually do a push-up now. Now I'm still working on the ones where you're on your toes, but
Yeah.
definitely the knee ones, I go all the way down and touch my nose and come up and do like 15 easy.
Okay.
That's huge for Lynn. Huge for Lynn. Now I'm working
Yeah.
on the regular ones now. I'm getting there, but I can actually go all the way down with ease and come all the way back up. I could never do that before. Not 15 in a row.
Which is good. Which is good because it really isn't about, as you've alluded to, it really isn't about competing or setting a benchmark with person A, person B. It's you yesterday who you're in competition with. So if Lynn 5 months ago couldn't do 15, but Lynn today can do 15, you're winning. You're killing it.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Yep.
So what would you tell somebody to kind of wrap up? Or I guess last question, and then I'll have some time for you to just really have whatever you want to say at the end. But what would you tell someone who is thinking of starting, but they're skeptical like you were, they're procrastinating. They may look at themselves in the mirror and say, well, yeah, but I mean, at someday I'll get it together. What would you tell that person that wants to do it, but just hasn't started?
As you get older, I'm finding you just can't eat right. Or you just can't work out. You have to be dedicated to do both. Even just going outside and walking for 30 minutes, doing something cardiovascular and something that's going to, build your muscle strength along with eating well. I'm not saying 100% of the time, but you're going to have to find out what your triggers are, what you're overindulging in when you eat, and just really kind of get to know your body. I like I said, I found out at the age of 40 that I can't eat what I used to eat. I have to work out differently than what I did when I was in my 20s. I have to work out smarter and not harder because, for one, I work all day long. I don't have 3 hours to spend at the gym. I need to make sure when I'm going in, I'm getting the best benefit for the time that I have there. So what did I do? I got a trainer.
Yeah.
So just find out, plan ahead, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Find out, what can make it the easiest for you. Maybe you need to hire a trainer. You got to find out what your triggers are before you even go into it. Like, okay, I know I like a lot of cake. You're going to have to give that up in the beginning. You're going to have to give some of these things up in the beginning to start seeing some results. And so that your palate won't really crave it as much.
Right.
So that's why I probably just say you just need to just really plan in advance, find out what you need to do. Like for me, it was getting a trainer and finding out what my addiction was, what my problem with eating was shsugar. Okay. Maybe somebody else's problem is bread. They eat way too much bread. Right. So you're probably going to have to give that up in the beginning. Not so you can't go back to it later because it ain't going to go nowhere. Right. Sugar is always going to be here. Bread's always going to be here. But just for now, try just to get your weaned off of it. Because we as Americans, we overindulge way too much on these fast foods. Way too much. So I guess that's my advice. Yeah. And that's, it's been said in several of the books that I read that our number one export is the Western diet, so that's our biggest contribution to the world is killing people in other countries by the Western diet. You look at people in other countries who are now dealing with health issues that they didn't deal with until they adopted the way that we eat. So, we eat horribly over here. Yeah, we eat horribly, and our portion sizes are out of control. Right. So I guess closing up and wrapping up, you've given some great closing thoughts and things. Is there anything else that you'd like to say, share, or throw out to the group and anyone who may watch this that has now heard your story that I know will be motivated by what you've said and certainly inspired to do something for themselves? Be patient with yourself. I keep saying what I'm saying a lot more than if anything is we're getting older.
Yeah.
We're getting older, and our bodies are getting a little bit more fragile, but it doesn't mean we have to. We can feel as young as we need to feel.
Yeah.
Our age isn't anything but a number.
Right.
I believe that I feel better now that I'm 41 than I did when I was 40. If you look on Facebook, I took a picture and I compared my 40-year-old self to my 41-year-old self.
Mm-hmm.
I look way younger and healthier. My skin's glowing.
Yeah.
So I just really believe just be patient with yourself. It's not going to come off instantly. You got to make a lot of sacrifices and changes with your health.
Yeah.
The number one thing is the way what you put in your body.
Right.
What are you putting in your body?
Yeah.
And then that's then going to give you the fuel and the mental capacity and focus to then walk, to work out. It just all kind of goes hand in hand. It goes in a circle to me.
Yeah.
If you eat right, you want to work out. If you're working out, you want to eat right. It
Right.
just kind of goes in a circle.
Absolutely.
For me. So I take supplements also. That helps me B12, B6. I do CMOS.
Okay.
I do Emerald Treasures pretty much almost every day. I put CMOS in that.
Uh-huh.
So I've done a lot of research, and again, the person I'm seeing, he's really knowledgeable about all that stuff. So we together, we just incorporate a lot of just different things now that I never even knew about. Like I didn't know what CMOS was.
Yeah.
But I now know it's really healthy for you. Like
yes.
And I'm actually making myself now. I was actually going and buying it already pre-made. Now I just buy it from a woman, and I just soak it in water. And for like 24 hours. And then I use that same water with the sea moss, put it into my little blender, blend it up, put it into my little mason jars. And there I got my sea moss. And I spent half as much money doing it myself versus buying it already gelled and pre-made.
Boom.
So research, find out what else you can add into your diet to make it even easier for you to feel good. Sea moss is not hard.
Yeah.
But it makes you feel great. Yeah. Vitamin B12 makes you feel great. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. I thank you for sharing with me and with everyone your story, being transparent, being vulnerable, and really helping to bring some clarity for those who will connect with you and see themselves in you and see their story in your story, so that they can then, jump in right behind you, so that as you progress, they're right behind you. Hearing what you said, and I hope everyone is absolutely driven by that statement that nothing tastes as good as
healthy feels.
Oh my God.
Nothing tastes as good as healthy feels.
Boom. Well, thank you so much. And
thank you, Marcus. Thank you so much. I'm flattered.
Everyone, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Make sure that you're getting notifications, so that as more stories, more information comes available on this channel, you can be notified and come back in here and hear great stories of other people who are far better, far greater, and far more inspirational than what I can be, because this is who I am pushed by and motivated by. So thank you, Lynn, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.